Welcome to the Flight Club Podcast, a woman's guide to leaning out. We give you a behind-the-scenes look at business launch and growth through the stories of successful female entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Felina Hansen, founder and CEO of Hera Hub.
Hello and welcome. I am excited to share the story of Darlene Hawley. She is a mother, a wife, a connector, and also a dream builder. She is a personal branding and business clarity coach, which we will dive into and define. And she can be found online at darlenehawley.com, and that's Hawley. She helps ambitious, heart-centered online entrepreneurs who are struggling with building a successful personal brand and business. They're afraid, they might be afraid, we'll say, to share their unique story. And they need help in how they stand out. There's so much noise out there online, how to authentically share their story. And then in turn, of course, the goal is to build a profitable online business. She helps them build a solid brand foundation, which we will talk a lot about foundations because it is so important before you launch a business that you have the framework set so they can share their message with the world, obviously attract the dream clients, and then also have the impact they want to make. Before starting her own business over 12 years ago, she started her career in big box retail. She also spent a little time in the mortgage industry and as a financial coach. And she was trained by the largest business coaching franchise in the world and has really been committed to helping other entrepreneurs grow their business since 2007. So welcome to the show today, Darlene.
Hi, Felina. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here and talk with you and share my story.
Yes, I'm excited to share your story as well. So let's dive in. Where are you from? And take us along your career path, the big box retail, the loan officer, the financial coach, all those things that I'm sure you bring that experience into your business.
Yeah, definitely. I currently live in Marietta, California, which is in Southern California, next to Temecula wine country, just a little bit above you from San Diego.
Yeah.
And I'm born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. And my background is, like you said, in big box retail management. I always get the question, well, what's big box retail management mean? So I worked for Best Buy, and I started there right after high school, and I worked my way up from cashier all the way to operations management, where I was ran the whole entire front end of the store, from HR, operations, customer service, making sure everything ran smoothly and we had all of our sales and transactions brought in. So I did that with Best Buy, and then I switched over to Gap, where I did clothing retail management for a couple of years and loved working retail management. But I was a single mom, and a little bit of backstory to me is I had my oldest son, who's going to be 24 next month, which is insane to me. But I was a single mom right out of high school. I was very young, so I was pregnant my senior year in high school, and I had him just after I had graduated a few months later. And I found myself working my way up in retail management, and I loved it. I loved the excitement and the buzz that comes with retail, and it was ever changing constantly. I was personally growing within the organization, and I found very quickly that I loved working with my employees and helping them grow within the company as well. So I worked myself up from cashier all the way to operations management within about a 2.5 year time frame. So I was a single mom, had this young child at home, and I was working, once I got into management, I was working like 60 plus hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
And it was exhausting. So I was working nights and I was working weekends, and I really loved what I did, but I wasn't sure how I was making like this big, huge overall impact on the world. And I wanted to give back in just a different way. I wanted to be able to kind of have the freedom and the flexibility in my schedule to be home with my son, One of my core values is that I want to be home and tuck my kids in bed at night. And at that time in my life, I was missing some of those big moments with my son. I wasn't there for every single tuck-in because working retail management and the amount of hours that I was working, I was gone on the weekends a lot. And then I was not home very many evenings, or if I did get home in the evening, it was like late evening. And usually he was already in bed at that point. And I just knew that I wanted something more and something different. So I kind of just started digging around, and I didn't just like leap and start a business right away. But I just kept having this like internal struggle, knowing that I wanted something different and I wanted to have the ability to be home with him more. And so I started researching different types of career paths and different ways that I could make that happen for myself. And it took a while. My next jump out of retail management was I became a loan officer, like you had said in my intro. And as a loan officer, I was able to create my own schedule, and I started to work with a company where I was working more of like a traditional corporate type job where it was like 9 to 5. I was able to take him to school in the morning, and I was able to be there in the evenings, but I still didn't have as much flexibility as I was looking for. And it wasn't quite my passion. Like, I enjoyed helping my customer or my clients get into homes, and I liked doing the numbers and finding different programs that would be a good fit for my clients to get into, but it wasn't my lifetime calling. It wasn't like really lighting me up. It wasn't where my passion was lying at the time. And I had actually put a resume out onto monster.com. I don't even know if they're still a thing or not, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I was like, I'm just going to put my resume up here. It was big at the time. And I got contacted by a franchise that helps you start a business coaching practice. And at the time, I had no idea what a business coach was. The lady I was talking with back and forth over email made it sound really enticing. And I was like, I kind of want to talk to you and like learn more about what this is and see if this is something that I would even be interested in. And after we got off the phone with my first call with her, I was totally lit up. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I've been coaching and training and developing people my whole entire career, whether I was in the retail management or even as a loan officer, like I was training people to become loan officers. I was like, that's what lights me up. That's what I'm passionate about, is helping people take their self to the next level. And I bought a franchise. So I started a business with that company and was able to quickly learn how to take like the tools and the training that I already had as far as, operational running retail management and transfer that over to helping business owners create a successful business for themselves. So that's kind of how I like transitioned from retail management, working crazy hours, to creating a life of freedom on my terms and in a way that felt really good to me. And I was able to build a business that would support that lifestyle that I was looking for.
That's fantastic. And the brand Action Coach is very well known in the industry, in the coaching industry. And I know some folks who have owned various locations, and it just seems like the processes, the tools they give you from an outsider's perspective seem to be very strong.
Yeah, no, Action Coach was an amazing way for I left Action Coach about 2.5 years after I started with them, and I got so much support and tools and knowledge and information from them that it definitely has set a solid foundation for how I'm able to work with my clients now. And I've up-leveled and shifted from that to where I work primarily with service-based online entrepreneurs now, and I'm able to help them create a business that's online as well as in person, so that they're able to work from home if they're a mom raising kids, and maybe they only have 20 to 30 hours per week to work their business, and then they're able to work their business as well as be home with their families and not feel like they're doing so many things and that they're missing out on all those important memories with their families.
Absolutely. So important. So let's dive into your business, Darlene. You do branding and what you call business clarity. What does that mean?
I do, yeah. So when I started my business, I wasn't getting clients consistently. I kind of struggled. I knew I had all the tools and the information to work with clients when I got them, but I found that I was struggling with how to get out and actually attract clients to me. And I had the tools to teach other people, but for some reason, I didn't know what I didn't know in the beginning, and I wasn't using those resources and those tools on myself for how to attract clients. And about 2.5 years into it, I kind of took a step back and I re-looked at, what my big goal was, what I wanted to do. And I started on a journey with like getting really specific on getting really clear and having that clarity for my business. And I found that I never set up a solid foundation for my business. And so during that time, I worked a lot on like getting really specific on what my niche was, my ideal client work. I figured out the messaging and how I wanted to attract clients in and what type of people I wanted to work with. And those were the things that started to help my business start to take off. And so now I work with online entrepreneurs to help them set up a solid brand foundation for their business. So they're crystal clear on who they want to work with. They have the clarity of how they're going to share their message. And I help them set up that foundation so they can be successful a lot quicker than I was. And they don't have to wait 2.5 years to get that foundation set up, because I really wish I would have known at that time. Like, it just, for whatever reason, I think maybe from transitioning from working with employees and retail management to running my own business. Like, I never had my own business before. So I was so focused on trying to get clients that I didn't just like stop and like breathe and like look at like the core fundamentals of, building a house. A business is kind of like a house. So you're a foundation. If you build your business off of, just the dirt, it's not going to withstand, long-term success. It can crumble easily. It doesn't have like that solid foundation. So now I make sure my foundation is super solid, and then I help my clients make sure their foundation's solid as well.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the types of businesses that you help. Maybe even give us a couple case studies if you would like. When you say online business, let's start with that. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I've worked with businesses that have like brick and mortar actual locations. And then about 5 years ago, when we moved from Las Vegas to Marietta, I had a 6-month-old son at the time. I have 4 kids. So my youngest was 6 months at the time. And I had built my business in Las Vegas on the ground from networking and out in the community. And I wasn't sure how to transition that once I moved, especially with having my son so young. And we moved to a new city. We didn't know anybody. And I didn't want to, put him in daycare or different things. So I had to get creative on how I was going to market myself still and how I was going to continue to grow my business. And I started messing around with the online space. It's been out for longer than 5 years, but for me, it was like a newer territory, and it was a new area to look into. And I found that there's a lot of online business owners who want to grow their business online and not have to necessarily leave their house. They want to be able to have that freedom and flexibility to either work from home or work from co-working spaces or travel the world and not have to, put their business on the shelf while they were gone on vacation. If they wanted to have like a working vacation and travel while they live their life, they wanted that freedom and that flexibility to do that. And so I started doing that for myself. So I started just growing my business, and I ended up attracting a lot of other service-based online entrepreneurs who were looking to grow their business. And that's kind of how I transitioned into like the online space. And so now I work with anybody a lot of times they're coaches who are looking at starting their business. Sometimes they're CPAs, attorneys, accountants, people that are in like the health and wellness industry. And they're people who just want to grow their business, and they want to be able to have it as something that they're working on sometimes on the side, because they still have their corporate job or they have other businesses they're running, and they're trying to figure out how to get their feet wet in the online space and show up to attract clients in, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, or they're using YouTube or Pinterest. There's so many different ways now that we can grow this online business. So I work with them on creating that solid brand foundation, like we talked about, making sure they're super clear on their messaging and their ideal client and who they work with. And then help them kind of create their first offer. How are they going to show up in the online space? What products do they want to offer? Do they have a product? Is it, if they're service-based, maybe they have a coaching program or a coaching package. And I help them build that framework out so they know exactly the right messaging to use to share to their audience, as well as they have something they can offer to them to sell.
Great. Love it. So Let's talk about this and dive in a little deeper in regards to, you talked about service-based businesses, which is a large segment within female entrepreneurship. Like you said, coaches, folks in finance, marketing, attorneys, etc. And the biggest challenge that most service-based companies have is trading time for dollars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so to your point, how to create products that maybe can extend that knowledge and an opportunity to build something once and have somebody engage in it, or have multiple people engage in that one, what we would call product, service-based product. Are you helping folks with that step of taking this expertise and, kind of, for lack of a better word, productizing it? And or are you more focused on how they show up online, say on LinkedIn or Facebook or things of that nature?
It's a little bit of both. So once we create their offer, most of my clients run a one-to-one business.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not working necessarily with group, like they're not doing group coaching, or they don't have like a digital product yet. A lot of it is one-to-one conversations. So we help create the framework for how they're going to work with their clients and how they're going to attract them in. And then from there, some of them choose to start having, a smaller group program where they work with like 4 to 6 different clients at one time versus one-to-one. Because at some point we want to be able to serve more people and not have to work as many hours, right? Because we start our businesses so that we're not working. Like, I don't want to work 60 plus hours a week anymore. Like, that's why I left retail management. So finding a balance to where you can work with, you have to get really detailed. Like, how much money do you want to make? How much can you charge for the service that you're providing? And then how many clients do you need to actually bring in each month to hit your goals? So we have to kind of work those numbers backwards. And sometimes that might be 5 clients. Sometimes that might be 20 clients. And depending on how many hours a day you have, sometimes it makes sense to have like a group program where you have 4 or 5 people that you're working with during that 1 hour. And then other times you might do like a high-end signature offer where you're working one-to-one with somebody, and you might only need 4 clients per month to hit your revenue goals. So
awesome.
Kind of every client's a little bit different, which is what I love about what I do. Is all of my clients have different backgrounds, and they have different stories that they share, and they have different resources and tools that they can pull from. So it's fun to sit down with a new client and find out like what their big goal is, what they want to accomplish, and then like piece together what their offer is going to look like so that they can attract the right people and grow their business to the level that they want to. And some clients want to make, $2,000 a month, and some of my clients want to make $10,000 plus a month. So it's fun to like see what their vision is and what their goals are and help them find what works best for them, and then bring those pieces together from there.
Love it. So it sounds like you're really just helping them hone in on what this whole business process looks like, because there is a lot of moving parts, and you do need that foundation of really understanding what you're doing, how you're delivering it, and how you can really leverage your time. I mean, that's the core message, I think, here is so many of us. I mean, I had this when I had my prior company, my marketing strategy firm. I mean, I was pretty much consistently trading time for dollars. I had subcontractors on particular projects, so there was a little bit of leverage there in that, I was billing the client $200 an hour and paying the contractor maybe a bit less than that. So, but that, it's hard to scale in that way. And this is such a big part of the conversation right now, which is, again, going back to this conversation about how to take that knowledge and create products, especially as you talked about what I call the revenue funnel. Is not everybody is going to be able to engage in. For example, my signature program is the Flight Club retreat, right? Is, go away for 4 days, sometimes to a foreign country, and, really take the time to do your strategic planning and connect with other amazing female entrepreneurs in that process. Not everyone's able to do that. So my version of, the top of the funnel is my book, right? Is, a little bit of a, taking the knowledge and experience I have in my story, packaging that up and allowing somebody to engage at that level. But that's daunting for a lot of entrepreneurs. Like, oh, I have to write a book. I have to write an online course. Like, what is your advice to somebody who is in that space? They're a, service provider, business service provider, and they are, recognizing that they need to, think differently about how they can scale their business. Where should they start?
Yeah. And to like give some backstory to that, like I feel like too, a lot of times we're seeing so many people do so many different things in the online space. Like if you go onto Facebook, you'll see one person who has a mastermind. You have another person who has a group program they're launching. Another person is, launching some other signature course. And there's all these different things that we're seeing. So sometimes it's hard to figure out what's going to work for us and what feels good to us too. Like a lot of times I ask my clients, like, I know that you're seeing that, one of your competitors is starting a mastermind group. What is it about the mastermind group that is enticing you? Like, do you actually want to start one, or do you feel like you should start one because so-and-so is starting one? So I always ask my clients, like, to go really deep and make sure that whatever they decide to create, that it feels really good to them, because that's the only way they're going to have a successful piece of their business with that, is when it's something that they want to do. Like if somebody doesn't want to write a book, then don't write a book. Start a mastermind, do a group coaching program, like find what feels good to you and do that. Because so often we're just inundated with all these different ideas and things that the should do's. And I'm doing like the parentheses in the air while I say that, like the should. And that's not necessarily what you need to do. Just because, I'm doing something doesn't mean you need to do it. So it's just so important, I think, that like you find like what feels really good to you and start there. And the first thing I have my clients do before they even create, or after they start like with their base offer, but before they really do the next step, is just create a free gift that they can offer that is super valuable that their audience wants, so that they can start to attract their ideal people and they can start to grow their email list, and they're able to start nurturing and growing their community of, raving fans that are around them. And then they can start asking questions of their ideal audience and find out what they want. And then also look internally to see what they actually want to provide and what they want to offer to them. And sometimes it's, writing that book. Sometimes it's creating like a local networking group or a meetup group to just attract people in. But it varies for each of us at different stages in our business of, kind of what we want to offer and how we want to offer it.
Yeah, that's great advice. So, Darlene, with your business, what are some of the things in the upcoming year or so you're excited about?
Yeah, so I'm super excited just to help online entrepreneurs create successful businesses. And I am launching a new 6-month group program that I'm starting right now, where it's a complete layout for for my clients. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. It's a complete
okay.
layout of how to create a 6-step framework to create that profitable online business. So the tools and the systems that I've created over the past 12 years, I'm getting really clear and specific on how I want to work with my ideal clients moving forward. And I want to teach them my 6-step framework that's worked for myself and has worked for the clients that I've been working with. So I'm just getting out there and offering online entrepreneurs the chance to meet with me and get really clear on what their foundation is for their business. I'm helping them create a signature offer that makes them super attractable to their audience that they're reaching out to. And then I'm helping them nurture and grow their list and helping them attract their ideal clients through what I call like the client attraction and marketing system that I've created that helps you I teach like a 10x10 marketing tool, which has you showing up in 10 different ways that you're marketing to your community. And you're doing 10 hours per week of marketing so that you can have this ever-ending funnel of ideal clients that are coming to you. And what I've found with my clients in the past is a lot of times they stop marketing when they get a client because they're like, yay, I got a client. And like they get so focused on doing like the client deliverable to the client that they forget to market. So I'm trying to like close that gap to where we know exactly what we need to work on and how much time per week we need to spend on it. If you have 10 clients and it takes 10 of your hours, that's great. But then you have another 10 hours that you're spending marketing and continuing to engage with your community and build those people in. And then we also focus on like the admin tasks and the foundational stuff that we have to always be working on. But it's important just to know that we don't stop marketing. Like, we can't stop marketing. Otherwise, our business has no revenue. As soon as that client is done, then you're like back to square zero if you stop the marketing. So just making sure that they're really clear on making sure they're continuing to market and being visible and showing up online so they can stand out and create a brand that holds against the competition, that people are coming to you for your specific needs. I teach a lot of story work, helping share your story so that you're able to stand out from the competition without having to do anything extra special or unique, because you're extra special and you're already unique just as you are. You don't have to do anything different. And I think we forget that if you have somebody else that's out there and that does exactly what you do, you don't have to show up in any different way other than just by being you and taking your experiences and your background and sharing that information. And that's what's going to attract people into you. And then just helping them, once they get that foundation going, that they have the momentum from there to take their business to the next level, and help them create a solid 6-month action plan that makes them stand out, and they know exactly what they're doing every single hour, every single day, every week, and every month. And they don't have to like second guess themselves every day and have that shiny object syndrome that we have when we go online. They're able to stay truly honed in to what their goals are, and they already know what steps they have to do. They already know what lights them up, and they already know the language to use with their ideal client. So it just helps attract all the clients to them and keeps them super focused.
Love it. Awesome. So Darlene, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best place is to go to my website, which is darlenehawley.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram. I love to share pictures of my cute kids and share my business journey and kind of some of the behind the scenes on Instagram as well.
Awesome. And your last name is spelled Hawley. For those that are listening and want to connect with Darlene, of course, we'll also put that in the notes for this podcast as well. Well, Darlene, it was a pleasure getting to know you and your business. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Felina. It was so fun talking with you.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Flight Club, sponsored by Hera Hub. We look forward to sharing more success stories with you soon.